Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Abigail. It is Sunday, so Sunday is a church day for us, and used to I would sing at church, but I've been taking a break from singing because if you don't know, I'm on a feeding tube, and every few months you're supposed to get your feeding tube button switched or changed out because the balloon and the button will eventually quit working right. That's what happened on my last button, and I had to get it switched. And sometimes when you get the feeding tube button switched, they will for some reason be like really sore or painful, just like uncomfortable. And so I've been taking a break from singing, so I've been going to our church a little bit later, like not going early, so that I don't have to like sit there for a long time. But people have been so supportive about it. People every service will like ask me how I'm doing, and I've just been like really sweet. We had a really good service. Trying to think of like what else happened. I don't really feel like there's anything that happened that was like huge. Even though I guess you could say I had a couple of backfires. So if you don't know, I am a night owl. I have a hard time going to sleep at night. And so Saturday night, I stayed up late because I couldn't sleep. And this morning when my alarm went off for church, I like reset my alarm because I was too tired to get up. And then by the time my second alarm went off, I got up then, which I did have plenty of time to still get ready. But that was like the first thing that was like, I guess a little bit of a backfire because I had like a little bit less time to get ready this morning. The second thing is that can't believe I did this. So I wore my hair up for church, like, in a bun. And the hairspray that we have, it's, I don't know, it's like so light when you spray it on your hair that it's like kind of hard to fill it until it like hardens. And this morning I had, gotten ready for church, got my hair all done and everything. And whenever I get all the way ready, I spray my hair with hairspray. And it was like having a hard time, drying, like the hairspray. So I get in the car, like to go to church, and my hair had like hardened at that point. And it wasn't like all my hair, it was just like the parts that I sprayed like got hard. But I was like, why does it have to be like on the way to church that it does that? Anyways, most of the day on Sundays is mostly church, and then we come home and eat something. Sometimes we take a nap and spend the rest of the evening at home. Every once in a while, like sometimes like once a month or something, we'll have something on Sunday nights. But um most of the time Sunday nights are just spent at home. So Sundays are kind of like crazy mornings and then get home and relax. This evening when we got home, I watched a movie with my little brother. And when I say we eat, I actually don't eat. I'm on a feeding tube. My pump is in my backpack back here, and it's hooked onto me. So people get confused what I can and what I can't have by mouth. So let me explain it to you. So if you're new or you don't know, I am on a feeding tube for my nutrition because I have some health issues. And so basically, my feeding tube is my nutrition, but there's a handful of things that I can have by mouth. I call it things that can melt. And people get confused of what type of things will melt for me. So those are things like regular M&Ms, peanut butter M&Ms. I can have regular peanut butter. I can't have like food because food does not turn into a liquid like certain kinds of candy does. But I can also have like gum because I don't swallow that, and suckers. The suckers do either have to be like plain suckers, like suckers with nothing in it, or suckers that's like has like that's like a blow pop. Because I can't have like Tootsie Rolls. So let me explain what I mean by it melting because people get confused about that. So basically, I have two separate tubes. I have a G tube that goes to my stomach, and I have a J tube that goes to my intestines. My J tube that goes to my intestines, that's where I get my feeds because I have a hernia and I have gastroparesis, which is where part of my stomach is paralyzed. And so my J tube, that's where I get my feeds. Also, if, let's just say, I get sick or for some reason I need to take medication, we get it in the liquid form and we put it through my tube, my J tube that goes to my intestines. However, like I said, there is a handful of things that I can have by mouth. Mostly certain kinds of candy, like I said, M&Ms. Peanut butter happens to be one of those things that will go okay. But when I mean melt, I want to explain that a little bit. A little bit of a TMI warning for you all. So basically, I have this extension that hooks to my G tube that goes to my stomach. And basically, the best way to explain it is instead of getting sick from my mouth like most people do when they get sick, I hook up my extension and I open the extension over the sink and stuff comes out of my stomach. The reason why I have a G tube, even though I use my J tube for my feedings, is so that I can still enjoy candy. Like, I can't have just any kinds of candy. It's very like picked over. Like I said, I can have like a handful of different kinds of candy that melt, like M&Ms and things like that. But that even the M&Ms have to be very specific. Like they have to be like peanut butter or regular. They can't have like nuts in them because those won't melt. So anyways, when I say that they melt, I mean that they are liquidy enough that when I vent, it goes out my tube. So that's kind of gross, but people get confused on what venting means. It is so gross that I don't show it on the vlog. I honestly don't even show it in front of people. I always secretly go to the bathroom to do that. And even like if I'm in a public bathroom, like a gas station or something, I will usually do it over the toilet instead of the sink, because I obviously don't want to go to a public bathroom where there's like stalls and stuff and I'm over here like venting in a sink and it's really gross and somebody comes up behind me. I mean, that's just too far. So if we're like in public, I usually just like do it over the toilet. But like if I'm at home, I will do it in the sink and I'll just like clean the sink afterwards. But the reason I'm getting into that is because people still get really confused of how I can't eat but can have certain things by mouth and how that works. So that's how that works, is the things that I can have to be pretty liquidy, like liquidy enough that it can go through a tube, like vent out a tube. So yeah, it's basically the same thing as getting sick. It's just out a tube instead of how most people get sick. But I'm really thankful for it because before my feeding tube, when I would eat, I'd get sick. Like I think it was like 30 minutes to an hour after I would eat something, and that went on for like I think a year or a little over a year. So this way I'm able to have the satisfaction of being able to chew on something and still have, something in my mouth and be able to vent it out with still keeping my weight where it needs to be, because that will go to my G tube to vent out instead of my J tube, which I get my feeds from. So I hope that answered the questions that people have had about that. I'm sorry if that's a little TMI, but that's how it works. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure that you subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye, everyone.